friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday today. I don't really have any like witty things to say before we get started, but today's video is, I'm really excited to talk about this because it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and then something happened that made it really relevant, and then I've just been like kind of spiraling. If you don't know who Lashes by Lena is, they are an indie brand. They make eyelashes. Obviously. I've actually bought from them before. I bought their lemonade palette, really loved it, but I actually decluttered it because I wasn't using it. But I used to talk about it on my channel a lot because for a time I really loved that palette. So recently, we're just jumping right in. Recently, Lashes by Lena actually posted a Instagram post basically saying that a brand called Lily Lashes, which you guys probably do know about because every influencer has a code with them, and she basically posted saying that she felt like Lily Lashes had stolen her idea, which was a heart-shaped box that came with lashes for Valentine's Day. She said that she's been doing this design since 2015, and Lily Lashes has stolen things from her before, so she felt like Lily Lashes was stealing this design. Now, people in the comments disagreed with her, and they basically said as such, some nicely, some not so nicely, and she clapped back at a lot of them, saying things that were rude, insulting customers' intelligence, saying they didn't understand because they didn't know anything about this and all of this stuff. At one point she said something that I felt to be pretty racist about, because somebody in the comments pointed out that a company in Japan had actually come up with the idea for heart-shaped boxes for lashes in 2011, and she said something to the effect of, "We're not in Osaka, so it doesn't matter," which was just like, but she's being very rude to a lot of her customers, and some would say that she was standing up for herself. Others might say that she's being incredibly rude. My opinion on that, before we get into what she did next, just as far as this first situation goes, I don't feel like it is ever appropriate. And also, on top of what she was doing, she was body shaming, saying really negative things about the owner of Lily Lashes, and really just trashing her as a person, which I just kind of feel like, and I know she said in a lot of her comments that she doesn't care what people like me, my opinion of professionalism is, but I don't feel like it's professional to bash another brand owner for their appearance. And also, I think a lot of people in the comments made a fantastic point that if you don't have a trademark for something, if you don't have something trademarked, you have no ownership of that. So unless she went and filed a trademark so that she was the only person who could put heart-shaped boxes out with lashes, then she has no real claim to this. Like, yes, it sucks that a brand probably maybe stole this from her, but also another comment that was brought up a lot that I actually agree with too, heart-shaped boxes around Valentine's Day is not a super unique, or it's not really a unique idea. It's not really something brand new and fresh. Everything around this time of year comes in heart-shaped boxes. Kincaid comes out with those little heart-shaped like perfumes. Like, everybody is doing hearts for Valentine's Day. So nobody really felt like, A, this was a super creative, never heard of before idea, and B, she doesn't have a patent or a trademark or anything for it, so she doesn't really have a right to kind of bash this other brand for stealing it because she doesn't own it. She clapped back with a lot of different things and whatever. What really kind of made this from just a brand, what I felt being unprofessional on social media, which is one thing, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, is brands that kind of shoot themselves in the foot, especially indie brands. I feel like a lot of them just are not, it's weird, but it turned from a brand owner being unprofessional and rude to customers to a brand owner saying things that were deeply offensive very quickly, because she issued an apology, which wasn't an apology. It was this is why I did what I did and why you are all wrong. I'm gonna leave a screenshot of the statement up for you guys if you want to pause and read it. I guess we could go through it really quick, some of the certain parts. It seems she deleted it off of her Instagram. I did screenshot it because I just thought it might come in handy to screenshot it. Okay. So she starts the speech by saying, "I understand that in the world of social media, you are not allowed to speak or to even breathe unless you have millions of followers. Otherwise, you are ridiculed, discredited, etc. and etc. I understand it, but I don't respect it. It's corny AF to me, especially when drama and being ratchet brings views and followings." Here's the thing. She's like not wrong, but she's also, I don't feel like that's right. Because I feel like anybody with a following of any size is held to a similar standard, in my opinion. Well, there are certain people who aren't, but I feel as though being small and being large don't really have a lot to play in our beauty community, at least. I think large creators get crucified for saying things, and so do small creators. So I don't really agree with the fact that you get away with whatever you want when you have millions of followers, because look at like Laura Lee. She doesn't get away with anything. You know what I mean? She talks about how while this is her business's page, this is all her personal page, and kind of goes into all of that. The biggest thing that she talks about in this whole thing is she starts talking about, it kind of feels really random because she starts going on this tangent of equating kind of her situation of speaking up for herself and defending herself. She talks about how she was bullied and she's not going to let herself be bullied online. She talks about how all of those, like her past experience, and that makes sense to me, I guess, like not wanting to just take whatever people are giving at you. Then she starts talking about women who have been sexually assaulted, who stand up and nobody listens to them. She kind of talks about like the Kavanaugh hearings that just happened in the United States. That was a big thing. She gets really political, and I was pissed about this because I understand the different interpretations that you could have from reading this, and I think everybody could definitely have an interpretation from reading it. My interpretation from what I read was that she was equating and comparing her having heart-shaped boxes allegedly stolen from her and people saying no they weren't, to a woman accusing someone of rape or sexual assault and that person not believing them. I think those are two incredibly different things that nowhere in any way, shape, or form belong in the same conversation. A brand allegedly stealing the idea of a heart-shaped box nowhere near equates the systematic oppression of women. It just doesn't. I'm so sorry. Like, it just doesn't. There's no correlation there for me. I've talked to people about this, I've tried to get different perspectives about it, and I see some of the different perspectives of maybe it was just like a bad comparison, but at the end of the day, everyone I've talked to who has had a different idea of what this means is not actually taking what she said, they're just trying to kind of think outside of the box of what she said. And at the end of the day, when she's the brand owner, I'm gonna go off of what she said. I'm not gonna go off what she maybe meant, because what she said was, me being accused of this is the equivalent of women being harassed and not being believed. She essentially compared herself to Dr. Ford, who was the woman who testified in front of the entire world against Brett Kavanaugh and was not believed by most people, which is okay. So that was a problem for me. And this brought up a bigger issue for me as a whole, because I feel like indie brands really, and not even indie, because sometimes it's bigger brands too. I really feel like brands, sometimes social media is completely just, it's the worst thing in the world for them, because a lot of these brands don't know how to act professional in social media. They get too in their feelings about things, and it just makes it 10 times worse than somebody not agreeing with you or somebody not liking your product. It's similar to how people who are influencers and people who are on YouTube content creators, we often don't say everything that we're thinking to every person, because at a certain point it makes you look bad, that you can't take the criticism. Now, do I agree with that? Do I agree that people shouldn't be allowed to speak up when they're hurt? I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about that. I would love to be able to speak up more, and I know other people would too, but at the same time, that's how business works. It's about the customer being the customer and you being the business person, and that's how it kind of works. I feel like businesses sometimes, and I'm going to provide a few examples, this is the biggest example recently for me of a brand owner just completely shooting herself in the foot a little bit with this whole situation, and all of the posts are deleted now, so I think she did realize eventually that what she was saying was maybe not the right move or a good look. The thing that bothered me the most about it was that whole big paragraph rant, because it just kind of felt like she was trying to use like feminism and women's rights to explain her behavior of saying rude things to her customers, because she told her customers that they had chubby fingers, she called them names, like she did really kind of crappy things to her customers, and I don't think that's acceptable. Another example of the similar thing that happened, but it just didn't go as far as like the statement, was the brand Z Palette, which I think this hurt their brand quite a bit if I remember correctly, because I don't know a lot of people that openly say they use Z palettes, and when I see people show Z palettes in like videos, they'll always say like, oh, I got this before. This was like big for what it was actually. So Z Palette, I guess not for what it was big because it was annoying. Z Palette posted a new picture of their like hot plate thing. It was like a thing for depotting that you could put it on, but it was basically just a hot plate, and people in the comments were roasting it, as you do on social media when a brand comes out with a bad product. But Z Palette took that very, very personally, started personally attacking their customers, basically alluding that they are too poor for this item, that they are poor, they're not good enough for this product, like have fun burning yourself on your cheap hair straightener, which was how they used to tell people to depot things. It was just a mess, and that was something where it was like, again, if you had just taken a step back, controlled your emotions, and let people talk, nobody would have ever had a problem with the brand. Nobody would have ever said anything. Nothing would have ever happened with this brand. People wouldn't have cared that they came out with this, because the people who wanted to buy it would have bought it, and the people who didn't wouldn't, and then they would have come out with another launch and they would have been fine. It's a similar situation of now Z Palette is branded as somebody who calls their customers poor. There are so many makeup brands, so many that are good and are great, have great customer service and are so nice to their customers. And these brands that can't hold a level of professionalism that hire, it sucks. It does suck. In a way, I definitely feel bad for these brands, because you have the same thing with like, well, I don't feel bad for Lashify, who's the brand that said Manny MUA was still a dude, so no matter how much makeup he puts on, he's still a dude. And that little, I hate that woman. I don't like that woman. But she's canceled to me like fully, and I don't feel bad for her. But for some of these brands, I know there are certain indie brands that I follow that clap back sometimes at people and it causes issues. And for some of these brands, I do genuinely feel kind of bad sometimes, because they're held to the same level of professionalism that higher end brands have. And unfortunately, those higher end brands, they have PR people. They have teams behind them that are supporting them. They have people that went to college to learn how to handle this type of criticism and how to handle negative like feedback from customers. Whereas these people, they're doing it all. So they're not only creating the products, developing the products, selling the products, they're also in charge of their own social medias. These like really small brands, they're in charge of their own social medias. They're one-man shows, and they're just trying to juggle all of that. And so I can understand to a certain extent why seeing a product from start to finish and then have something like you think it's been stolen, or have something where people are criticizing you, I can see why your human reaction would to lash back at those people, would to be like, you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I get that, because that's your natural instinct to do so. It sucks, because at the end of the day, it kills their brand. It brings really, really negative attention to these brands, and it kills the public perception of them. I remember the Crayon case. Who's that brand that came out with the box of crayons eyeshadow palette or whatever? Went after Jen Love's reviews publicly and started trying to like talk behind her back, but on their public social media. And the woman went on like an Instagram live to kind of make fun of people who were questioning the fact that some of her ingredients were wrong. All of this stuff was happening, and now I've heard about that, and now I have a really bad taste in my mouth about the brand. I don't want to try the brand. I have no reason to want to try that brand. There are so many different brands you can try from that these brands have to remain a level of professionalism. I understand that it's hard, and I understand that it's our human reaction to defend things that are ours. I get that. But a brand is not a singular person. A brand represents so much more. So if you are a singular person and you think that you represent your brand, you need to start representing it better. At the end of the day, all the consumer wants is to get a product that is good, love it, and have good customer service along the way if anything, God forbid, anything bad happens. That's what people want. People do not want Instagram fights. They don't want to see you saying mean things. They don't want to see you clapping back. They don't want to see all of that. You're not like a Wendy's where you can clap back at trolls and everybody's like, yes, that's so funny and original. Like, it's not that, it's a difference. You have to remain a level of professionalism, because that's what people respect. If people don't respect you, they're not going to buy from you. And that's what it comes down to. Like I said, I totally understand the wanting to stand up for yourself. I totally understand the wanting to protect what is yours. Like, I get it. I really, really do. But at the same time, I won't buy from a brand like Lashes by Lena anymore. I won't buy from brands anymore who are disrespectful to their customers online. My friend Nisa, I tweeted about the Lashes by Lena thing because I was so mad, because it was just so ignorant. Like, everything she was saying, I couldn't get behind it. I really couldn't. And so I heard some different perspectives. I still couldn't get behind it. I thought it was really ugly what she was saying. And my friend Nisa tweeted at me and was like, can I just be like a PR consultant for these small brands to help them? And I'm like, I wish you could, because a lot of these smaller brands, it sucks because they have good products, they have good ideas. The people behind them are hardworking people who are just like, you know, there's usually, I know the woman from Lashes by Lena is a single mom, and she, you know, has her 2 kids, and they're just trying to really work because they love what they're doing. And it's so sad to see them explode and not do well as well as they could have, because they couldn't keep it together on social media. I don't know. I'd really be interested to hearing your guys' thoughts on this situation. I know where I stand, and I definitely have a lot of thoughts on this, but it was another one where I just kind of was like, wow, it's so sad to see a brand that has so much potential just go down the drain. But I kind of just wanted to put my thoughts out there on this and then get a response back from you guys on how you feel. I feel like a lot of these situations are very interesting to talk about, because it's kind of that battle of like human nature versus being a professional in a business setting, and where do we draw the line? Where do we allow people to kind of have moments of defending themselves? Where do we enforce that you need to still be a professional? I'd be really interested to hear your guys' opinions on this. One more thing I forgot that I am going to mention really briefly. I'm not gonna really put this in the thumbnail or anything, or talk about this, because I know that the girl involved doesn't really want to be talked about anymore, but a few of you guys did message me asking my opinion on this, and I think this is very applicable, where Jeffree Star Cosmetics just recently, it wasn't the cosmetics page, but Jeffree Star himself tweeted at this girl and kind of clapped back for no reason. He basically said he was gonna try Copycat Beauty, and she was like, I already tried it, it's trash, like don't bother. And he kind of clapped back at her pretty unnecessarily, in my opinion. I don't feel like I know there are gonna be people defending him and what he said, and that's totally fine if you saw it a different way than I did, but from my perspective it looked like she made a very blasé comment and he really attacked back, causing tons of people to send her really mean messages. This girl, I know for a fact, has bought almost every single release. She reviews them on her YouTube channel. She's like a bigger she's bigger than me. She's a pretty big YouTuber. She's almost at 100,000, and she kind of clapped back and she addressed it and everything, but that also puts into perspective that there are brands, I guess, that can get away with doing things like that, because Jeffree Star is pretty notorious for clapping back at people, and saying kind of like striking when people say things that he thinks offends him. So I'm curious to know you guys, my opinion on why this is acceptable and why a lot of people accept it, besides the normal stan culture that we have, is because Jeffree Star always does it on his personal page and not on his like Jeffree Star Cosmetics page. I don't think I've ever seen the Jeffree Star Cosmetics page involved in any sort of drama. It's always the Jeffree Star page. So I'm curious if you guys think there's a difference here between like Jeffree Star and Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and maybe if these brands were doing this type of thing on their more personal accounts, do we think that people would be more okay with it, or do we think that's purely stan culture? I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say and your opinions on everything to do with brands on social media, especially smaller brands. It's so interesting to me, and I would be fascinated to hear what you guys think about this too. I think that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you for being here. Everything that's on my face, my merch, my social media, and all of that other fun stuff will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!